For as long as we've been around, we've been asking one of the biggest questions imaginable. What happens after we die? So today, we're going to dive into one really fascinating philosophical answer to that question, pulling directly from our source material that actually maps out the soul's entire journey after death. I mean, this is it, right? The question that sits at the very heart of what it means to be human. What happens to our consciousness, to our sense of self when our body just stops? The text we're digging into today really takes this on head on. Okay, so to kick things off, our source sets up the two big competing ideas that really frame this whole conversation. You've got the modern scientific viewpoint on one side, and then the spiritual perspective on the other. So what's so cool about this slide is how it just boils the whole debate down. The scientific view basically says that nothing's really destroyed, right? It just changes form. Your body's atoms go back to the earth, and your consciousness, which was just a product of your brain's wiring, it just fades out. But the spiritual view comes back and says, well, hold on. Just because our fancy scientific gadgets can't measure a soul, does that really mean it doesn't exist? And this is where our source really pivots. It throws a challenge out to that purely physical materialist view. It asks us to think about all the strange phenomena that don't quite fit into that neat little box, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, our current understanding is a bit incomplete. The text points to some pretty wild stuff, like kids who have these incredibly detailed, verifiable memories of past lives, or child prodigies who are born with these genius-level talents that just seem to come from nowhere. It also brings up things like the mind-bending feats of yogis, the old mysteries of mesmerism, which was sort of an early hypnotism, and yeah, even ghostly apparitions as clues that maybe consciousness isn't tied to the physical body. The big idea here is that there's a lot of stuff happening that's tough to explain with just physics and biology. All right, let's get into the main event, the core idea that holds this whole journey together. If the soul does keep going, well, how does it travel? The source introduces this concept of a subtle body, which is basically the soul's ride after death. Now, this is a really crucial point. We're not talking about some formless, floaty ghost. The source describes this subtle body, the Sukshma Sharir, as an energetic duplicate of our physical body. Think of it as the vessel that detaches when the physical body dies, carrying the real you onward. So, what's it like in this new body? Well, it's got its own set of rules. Physical needs like eating or feeling cold, gone. But, and this is a big one, your core personality, your habits, your psychological quirks, most of that sticks with you. Right after death, the soul goes into this kind of semi-conscious chill-out mode. It's a time to rest and recover from the whole ordeal of life and get ready for whatever's next. So you are still very much you, just without the physical baggage. So where does this subtle body actually go? According to the text, the afterlife isn't some single place like heaven or hell. Nope. It's a whole series of different realms or planes of existence, and the soul's journey through them is all about continuing to learn and grow. And this right here is a key principle. This journey is not one size fits all. The source makes it clear that where you end up isn't about some cosmic reward or punishment. It's all about the level of spiritual development you managed to achieve while you were alive. It's like water finding its own level. Your soul just naturally goes where it belongs. This table kind of lays it all out for us. The source breaks it down into three main levels. You've got the higher realms for really developed, pure souls, where they experience total peace. Then there are the middle realms for most of us ordinary folks, where we can continue to grow. And then the lower realms for souls who are still really weighed down by earthly stuff. And here's a fascinating little detail. Souls from the higher realms can actually visit the lower ones, but the souls in the lower realms can't just climb up on their own. But here's the thing, death isn't just a clean break. The source explains that souls, especially in those early stages, keep a really powerful connection to the world and the people they left behind. And as you can see here, the reasons for sticking around are worlds apart. A developed soul might pop back in out of a sense of duty, to help people out. But on the flip side, undeveloped souls are often yanked back by all their unresolved emotions, strong attachments, love, hate, you name it. They can get totally tangled up in the lives of their friends and enemies, and sometimes that attachment is so strong it pulls them right back into a new life super quick. No, the text uses a really graphic and honestly pretty disturbing image to describe what happens when a soul dies suddenly and violently, either in an accident or by suicide. It talks about this state of complete, violent, chaotic panic. And this isn't just a personal tragedy for that one soul. It has ripples. Because the soul was ripped from the body so suddenly, it's in a state of deep shock and confusion. According to the source, that chaos can create some serious disturbances, not just for the soul itself, but in the spirit world and maybe even right here on Earth. The key takeaway is that how you die really matters for the soul's immediate state. All right, so after all this, the resting, the development, the lingering attachments, what's the final stop on this journey? The source calls it the second death, the moment the soul finally leaves even the subtle body behind. And this is such a powerful way to put it. That subtle body, the soul's vehicle, it's temporary too. Eventually, the soul sheds this energetic form, just like a snake sheds its old skin. According to the text, for highly developed souls, this happens pretty quickly. But for less developed ones, well, it can take a very, very long time. And that brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? If any of this framework is true, it kind of forces us to look in the mirror. What does it actually mean to live a developed life? What are the thoughts, the actions, the intentions that help your soul evolve? And that's a question that turns this whole cosmic explanation right back on us. And man, it is definitely one worth thinking about.